Hello again. This is Patrick FFA. Freedom for all. Here today to throw another thought-provoking video coming right at you. So the topic of this video today is free market economics fundamentally wrong? To answer this question, I think we need an analogy to something a little simpler that I think hopefully mostly everyone understands. And this would be the concept of sex versus rape. Okay? Sex, of course, is the simple act of sexual intercourse, intimate physical intercourse. Hopefully you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, this might not be the video for you in the first place. So, rape is imposition of sex without consent from both partners. And hopefully we can see a difference here between sex and rape. Okay? Hopefully this makes sense to people. I really hope it makes sense to people that there's a difference between sex and rape. If there's not, you might be watching a little bit too much radical feminist propaganda. And here's the difference: the act of coercion. The act of forcing someone else to do something without their consent. That is why it is not valid to say that all sex is rape. I hope that this makes sense. If you don't understand this, I don't know what. Just the X button is at the top right of your browser. Please go back to whatever fucking mental institution you came from. But using this argument applied to free market economics. Is all free market economics bad? Or there may be just some situations where it's bad, economic rape, and some situations where it's not bad? Well, let's get into this. I have a video that explains how there is indeed such a thing as equivalent trade, completely refuting the very, very far left assertion that there's no such thing as equivalent trade. Taking that into account, if two people both consensually agree to equally trade their products or ideas or whatever with each other, then there's nothing wrong with it. So to assert that because I'll argue many situations, but that's probably because we have a very crony capitalist system at this point. But continuing to assert that all economic situations are somehow this form of economic rape where there's coercion. I mean, do we not understand the difference between holding a gun to someone's head and saying, "Give me the money"? Oh, it's a equal trade, life for money. No, you dumbass. Once you impose the act of coercion, it is not fundamentally a free market trade. It is indeed fundamentally an act of coercion, a form of economic rape. And if you don't get it, let's go through this again. You go to some small business, I don't know, Smokin' Joe's or something. They sell steaks. You give them money for that steak. That money covers the cost of the raw material, the steak, and the labor put into it, as well as a little bit of profit so that the business can continue to the next year. That profit going to the labor and the person who owns the company. Can you not understand how that's consensual without any sort of coercion, any sort of guns or weapons involved? That there's nothing wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. So to argue that all forms of economic trade are somehow wrong that all free market systems are just fundamentally wrong or evil is actually a form of stupidity. I hope that this video raises many thoughts in your head. I really hope those synapses are tingling, maybe with anger if you believed in really far left communism, or maybe delight if you're someone who in school all day and they're like, there's only one way to run the system, through strong big government. I hope that you're almost feeling delighted.